Bruce and Randy Cook for driving all the way to Harrisonburg, Virginia to meet us and drive that van back after we got off a 17-hour overnight flight. So there are heroes in this audience tonight. Yes, that's very good. Again, as we begin, don't hesitate to stop us. I have control. Okay. Thank you, too, for letting us represent you. Sarah, Helen, Grace, and I were honored to go. Jerry Swamziti was supposed to go with us, but he, again, had visa issues and just couldn't make it work, though he tried as hard as he possibly could. His organization and planning skills, though, were invaluable to us, and again, it was quite vital to our trip. So thank you, Jerry. Hope that he can see the video of this. You'll see my granddaughter, Kate, as Dave mentioned in some of the photographs. Kate heard me talk about traveling to Ethiopia for 20 years. And she said, "Grandma, if you ever go back, I want to go with you." So I don't know that I'll be going again, but I did buy her a plane ticket for this trip, and she joined us, and it was a delight to have her there. Our mission partner schools were so appreciative of all that you donated, and I just want to say thank you again. We took more than, I'm showing 3 here, but we took more than 3 suitcases full of your donations, from soccer and volleyballs, training kits, preschool materials, laptop computers, projectors, all that you donated, we took, and they were so well received. It was really a beautiful thing to watch their faces. Would you all like to?
Sorry, we're under the gun time-wise because Peggy has put hours into this presentation, and I want you all to see some of the videos that she's embedded in the presentation. So I will say that the luggage thing, we each carried 2 big suitcases. Each of the suitcases had about 60 to 70% mission supplies, and the rest was our stuff. So, and in case you're curious, Ethiopian customs really, really, really does not like pencil sharpeners.
It's because they're metal. Okay. It's been 6 years since we've been, so a lot has happened in that country in that time. Hard things that have made life hard for those people and really tough for them. But our coming was encouraging, and it was uplifting, as were your donations. When we go, we see their deep, deep poverty, but they shower us with their best. These outfits that we have on and these that you see in the photograph were all gifts from them, and they are the traditional Oromo red and black and white dresses. And they gave us 2 sets. I mean, how generous is that? 1 would have been plenty, but we got 2. It was amazing. They shower us with their best food, their best accommodations that they have available, their kind attention, their most extravagant gifts, and, as I said, food. This is a roasting goat that they roasted over a fire and fed us, and that is extravagant in their world.
It's more than, the cost of a goat or a sheep is more than 1 month's wages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We mentioned the significance of them giving us their best food. Meat there is beyond a delicacy. Animals are there to be raised for their milk or their eggs, or it's not meant to be food. So for us to be given a sheep to eat is a huge, huge, huge honor.
The lady that cooked almost every meal for us actually slept in the kitchen where she was working. She was with us all the time. Slept on the floor. Yeah, it was amazing. Okay. Not supposed to start there. Just a second.
Sorry, I was going to ask you, as this is one of the videos, and as you were watching this, be on the lookout for, this is what life looks like, the getting there, and what we saw when we got there. Keep an eye out for how many people are walking and the lack of vehicles. Keep an eye out for animals, including in traffic. And keep an eye out for the differences in housing stock, and what we would consider to be unacceptable housing stock is pretty high-class living in Ethiopia. One of our hosts described Ethiopia as a community of poverty in a land of plenty. And you'll see some of that now. That's a horse cart in front of us.
Yes, we did fly to Denby this time, so that was the reason we got to go, because they warned us not to travel by car because of the road bandits that are out now, and it's prohibitive. So they said as long as you can fly into Denby, then come. So, yeah, we did get to do that. Thank you. Thank you for the question. What was your impression when you saw this? What did you feel? What was you? We're fortunate here, aren't we? We don't know how good we have it. There's no place like home, right? Nancy Spin, yeah. And I invite all of you to go. It's quite an experience. Say that again, Joe. Yes, there was a monkey, a colobus monkey, and beautiful, but you don't want to get near them. Yeah. You notice the natural beauty versus the poverty there, and that the jacaranda tree, you couldn't see it really well, but it has the beautiful purple flowers on it. They're just the vegetation and the natural beauty that's in that area will just take your breath away. It's amazing. Other
If you aren't walking or riding a bike, you can afford a taxi. They are these little three-wheeled Bajaji, and they are jam-packed. If you can afford it, you go in it. But if you can't, then you're walking or biking. And being able to afford a taxi is a big deal. So us being driven was extravagant, yeah. Something that you cannot usually afford. So, yeah.
Okay. Will, can you advance that? We have a question. Question. Tom? Yes, we're getting to those. Yes, we hope to. Yeah. Okay. We're going to talk about the impact that our church has had, and this is just one example. We ran into Magarsa in Addis Ababa. We didn't run into him. We set up a meeting so we could eat lunch with him. Magarsa had worked at Brahani Jesus and was actually director of Brahani Jesus for a few years, and he worked real well with our church, so we kept in touch. And after our meeting with him, he sent me this picture, and this is a picture that Trudy McFerrin and I took when we were in Dembidolo back in 2012. And this is a picture of a little girl, and she's wearing around her neck a bookmark that Trudy and I had made. And we gave each one of the students a bookmark that year, and she had put this on a string around her neck. The bookmark says, and it's a quote from Psalm 73, verse 26, "My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever." We saw her 2 or 3 days later downtown in Dembidolo, and she had this around her neck. So we took her picture, and it ended up on Brahani Jesus' website. And Magarsa sent us this video, and this is the same girl, all grown up, and Will. Okay, and Brahani Jesus is a Christian school, and they raise all the children that are there from pre-K now through 8th grade. Every morning they have chapel services, and this is the influence of that school in that community, is Christians who are like this. And sorry, we'll just click it so it goes to the quote. Magarsa said, "I can mention many more Brahani Jesus students who benefited from support from you and friends there." So he wanted us to know, and we thought it was worth sharing with you because this is a long-term commitment. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
All right, so another video. This is a video about Brahani Jesus, which is a school that was started by a Presbyterian medical missionary who went to Ethiopia to provide care in 1920 after the flu pandemic. This guy's name was Thomas Lambie, and he stayed and invested in the community and started a church and started a hospital and started this particular elementary school. I was really struck by how present this community feels that these missionaries are. I mean, Lambie died like 60 years ago, and they still refer to him by name like he's a buddy. It's really, really remarkable. So as you're watching this particular video, the kids at this school, there are about 600 of them. They literally shut down the street in front of the school to greet us. Hundreds of kids jockeying for position to see the Ferengi, the foreigners. You'll see the teachers are the ones wearing the white coats. They are not physicians, they are teachers. You'll also see what we perceive to be really enormous classes of 40 to 60 students. They're on top of each other like little sardines. And in the public schools, the classrooms can be 80 to 100. So keep in mind that this is a really privileged education in this community. And our Western eyes look at it and say, those conditions are rough. But to these students, this is a ticket out of town.
This is our oldest partner of schools in Ethiopia. So, Will. High school, and we're getting to that. Yeah. The kids are so happy at Brownie Jesus now, and I've been there before when they were more sullen, but they are so happy now. It was good to see.
When they greeted us in English, this was their third language to learn. They first learn Oromo because that is the tribal language, and then they learn Amharic because that is the national language, and then they learn English because that is the language of higher education or business, and it's global. So these kids have learned 2 other languages before learning English.
Yes. Yes, 1 teacher per class.
And 1 teacher with a chalkboard. There's relatively few workboards. There's no manipulatives. This is a teacher's creativity and kids that are learning by listening.
The next one is about Bethel Tulama Elementary School, and it began as an outreach of Bethel Tulama Church, which is a neighbor church in that community. And they started it because they saw the good that Brahani Jesus was doing, and they wanted that same thing for their own children. So they started this elementary school, and about the same time, First Presbyterian Church received a large anonymous donation that was designated as support for the building of this school. So we have had a big part of that, though we individually did not, but they credit us with it. So they treated us like queens, didn't they? There. It was amazing. And they have over 600 students now in preschool through grade 8. So
Yeah, those 600 kids are from one congregation.
yeah.
And this is a congregation that is in a little bit of an outlying community that is growing like gangbusters. But can you imagine a modern day church in America that's big enough to have 600 kiddos?
And it's growing at a fast enough rate that they are having to build a new sanctuary. Their sanctuary is huge, and they've outgrown it.
So as you're watching this video, take a look at the classrooms. You'll see that compared to Brahani Jesus, they're way newer. They are way more primitive. There's walls that don't have windows. They just have bars over holes. This building doesn't have any power. So it's daylight education only.
Even in the daylight, some of the rooms are very, very dark. Even with these huge windows, some of the rooms are dark. I would struggle to see a book in front of me.
It depends on the size of the family. Sub-Saharan Africa tends to have larger families. The birth rate is higher than in Europe or here. But what is noticeable in that area is how young the population is. The vast majority of the population is under the age of 30. So, and some of that is due to civil war. Some of that is just, people dying off early.
Sorry, they are there from 8 maybe in the morning, and they start their day usually with chapel, the elementary schools do, and then they go until later in the afternoon, but I can't tell you when. But they are not fed a meal. They're given a lunch break, and they either bring some food or they go home for lunch. Yeah. Let's watch the video, okay?
This is KG one, still B. KG.
The rafters that you're seeing are wood.
Okay. That certificate, that framed thing that the president of the Synod was presenting to us was a certificate of appreciation, and it's over there in that chair. If somebody would grab it and just pass it around, I'd love for you all to see that. I hope to hang it on the mission wall at some point, but it's really, we were highly honored there. And by the way, the children running out right there at the beginning, we were early, so they would have been waiting on us, but we set them up for have to run out of their classrooms anyway. Okay, next is Bethel Evangelical Secondary School, and this is the natural feeder school for these Christian schools, that elementary. And Bess has grades 9 through 12. They have about 550 students, and 98% of their students go on to university after they graduate. We probably spent more time at Bess than anywhere else because we stayed in the guest house at Bess, so we had lots of exposure there. And I'll just turn it over to Sarah for comments.
Yeah, so things to look for with this one. There's a picture of the tea house. That's what they call it, the tea house. One of the things that I really loved about this particular school is that there are a lot of opportunities for student-directed projects. We'll talk a little bit here shortly about some of the outreach projects that the students are doing. And this tea house was one of the things that they wanted to do, and the administration said, fine, make it happen, and they did. You will see some pictures of little littles, and the littles are the children of teachers. And they live on campus and just hang around. It's pretty terrific. This is a 9th through 12th grade program. Marguerite, to answer your question, this is the feeder school, but there's also a public high school that has subpar, relatively, facilities with bigger classrooms. Because there's lots of education done in English, the joke is that even the cows at best speak English. And so you'll see how that shows up in lots of things.
I was able to have full-on conversations with some students, and they had wonderful English. So the joke of even the cows know English, I can attest to that. Thank you.
There are students who work in, yes, they do. Yes, especially if they're on full scholarship and they don't have any other means of support, then they do put in a couple hours a week, I think Emmanuel said, to lend a hand there on the property for maintenance. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. Not enough. Ever. Anywhere.
Yeah, as a reality check on equivalency as far as salary, the high school's, his title is director, the principal, the senior principal, earns about the equivalent of $100 US a month. So few US dollars make a really big difference. At this particular high school, uniforms and all of your materials and all of your tuition, if you're a day student, is about $80 a year. And that's out of reach for a lot of these families. There are some families whose children board. Boarding school is $1,200 a year. And that includes a place to live and all your food.
100, was it 160 or 180? What? That we turned in for Burr.
Oh, yeah. 160 US dollars turned into a stack of Burr.
About 2,000 Burr.
Yeah, about 20,000 Burr.
Sorry,
Yeah.
my fault.
Sorry, 20,000 Burr. Yes, Tom.
They used to, and they were very heavy on that, and they're going back to that now. It's kind of like the U.S. pattern where it went academic for so many years, and now they've got vocational training back in the schools in the U.S., and that happened in Ethiopia as well. But the government is saying now we need to get this started back up. So that's going to happen, and they have the facilities for that. Yeah. Josh? That is on their campus, but it's for the city. Yeah.
And even though there's a water treatment plant, water is still kind of iffy. I mean, they live on a lake and they have their own water pump, but if the grid goes down, they have no power to run the pump. Same for their power. They will have weeks of no power. And, you know, we freak out if we're out of power for a couple of hours. And they just kind of go about their business.
They have a generator, but that costs money to run. Yeah. Tom? Fuel? Pardon?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, they do. Yes, and you'll see some in the very next photo. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Will, next slide. These are some of Bess's outreach projects, and the students are involved in these. The first one, sorry. I don't know. I don't think so. Okay. These are students that are downtown on market days. Every market day, every Saturday is a market day. And these students, they're holding up their Bibles now, and they are downtown preaching God's Word. And it's quite impressive, actually. This is a picture of the prison that's there in Dembidolo. And these students, every Friday, go down to the prison and conduct a worship service. Every Friday. Yep. And this is a shelter that last year's 12th graders built for this woman in need. She had no home. She was trying to care for her disabled brother. And they collected money from fellow students. Now, these are children who have very little, but they collected what they could, and they got enough to build this lady this very crude but still a shelter for a home. And when we were there in March, the 12th graders were real near, this year's 12th graders were really near having completed collection for this year's project, and they're ready to start building right now. So these students are very active in the outreach. And not only that, but they have a student, for the students who live on campus, they have worship every Friday night. And Shibaru, the assistant director, said that sometimes goes 2-3 hours, sometimes it goes past midnight, depending on how they're rolling. But when we were there was a 16-year-old girl that was preaching and worshiping, and it was amazing.
We couldn't understand what she was saying, but we could feel the passion of the words that she was saying.
Yeah.
And she was so full of energy when she was
And they have,
preaching.
sorry, they have chapel every day at Bess, and we're going to show you some worship scenes here in just a few minutes. But the students are very, very involved.
This is where these projects are where their faith and their way of life meets community service and community outreach. And for them to have the time and the dedication to do this is definitely worth mentioning.
Yeah, especially with the amount of hours they put in on their academics, which is incredible. Okay.
Okay, so this is Yadessa. He works at Bess, but he also attends the local university, and he walks 4 miles in each direction to get to Bess and back. And he does that multiple times a day. And he took the time out of a few days to do the traditional coffee ceremony for us. And then a few days later, he taught me how to make tea. So he helped me grind the tea and then make it, and I'm still trying to perfect the recipe back home. But we were very, very honored with how they treated us, and just seeing him and the value of education to him, even though it involves walking 4 miles, is incredible, absolutely incredible.
We were invited to give greetings everywhere we went, and this is a picture of us standing in front of about a congregation of about 2,500 people there at Bethel Donka Church and giving greetings and introducing each other and so forth. And it wasn't lost on us that there were 4 women who came to visit, and that Sunday they were celebrating the role of women in the church. So it was huge, and it was special to us as well.
Okay, so I'm going to provide a little bit of context. We would have some free time, and I would go down to their football field, our soccer field, and talk to some of the girls. And they would fight over who could braid my hair, and they would touch my skin and be a little bit shocked that I have blue eyes and that I wear sunscreen and bug spray and that I actually wear sunglasses over my eyes. But they were very excited to show me their rooms, and all of us ended up getting a dorm tour. But their rooms are customized to each of the girls' taste.
It's more like a bunk in a bunkhouse. This is not individual dorm rooms.
But they call it their dorm. And each room has its own theme, but within that room, the bunks have themes. So this bunk could have flowers, and this one could have, blue streamers. So it was very personalized to the girls, and they were so excited to show that to us.
16 per room in most cases. Yeah. Okay, we're continuing with the hospitality here, and this is a picture of their bakery, and they were so proud to take us there and show us what they were making. Sarah's going to have to address this one. This is making injera.
So, injera is made with a locally grown grain called teff. And teff is smaller than rice, and it has very high protein levels. And the standard meal is to have a disc of injera. It's kind of like a crepe, like a kind of a puffier crepe, but they're discs that are like 24 inches across. And you tear off a piece and you pinch the stew or the vegetable or whatever it is that you're eating, and that's how your food is delivered to your mouth. Forks are not a thing. Your hands are it. But they, in addition to having a bakery, also have a room where the injera is made for the students, and they get one disc of this 24-inch disc per meal, and it's made just in time. So after breakfast, they're making it for lunch, and after lunch, they're making it for supper. And we benefited from their largesse. It was delicious.
It was a lot of fun. Okay, the next slide is going to have a video of Gadada Theological College, and this is the college that supplies the rapidly growing Christian church in Ethiopia. So enjoy.
Be on the lookout for the seminary leaders wearing their vestments. I mean, you've seen with the elementary schools that we were greeted by the entire population. Well, when we arrived at the seminary, in addition to all the seminary students, the entire pastoral staff, and there's like 10 or 12 of them, are all in their vestments. It was the most overwhelming experience to pull up, and there's this crowd of adults all in, the leadership is fancy like they're doing worship. Yeah.
Gadada Theological College trains pastors, teachers, and evangelists to meet the needs of the rapidly growing Christian church in Ethiopia. Gadada Theological College was named for the great evangelist Gadada Solon. Blinded from a young age by severe smallpox, Gadada memorized much of the Bible and traveled throughout Western Ethiopia teaching, preaching, and planting churches in many villages in the 1920s and later. GTC began as a short-term training center in 1960, and in 1993, a 2-year certificate program was established. But because of the increasing demand for higher-level training and the increasing competence of believers, a diploma program was established in 2012. Now, Gadada Theological College has accomplished one of its long-term goals, being able to offer both a diploma and a 4-year degree program. Gadada Theological College was the focus of longtime missionary Michael Weller. Our church contributed to the Weller family's support for much of his missionary life. When Michael Weller died in October of 2024, memorial funds were designated by his family to go to Gadada Theological College. The building of the Michael Weller Memorial Hall, to be used as Gadada's chapel, has begun. Your team was honored to participate in the placing of his memorial stone. We worshiped with the students, staff, and several guests of Gadada Theological College, and we brought greetings from our congregation. Pictured here, you will see several of the students, including some of the female students for whom First Presbyterian Church provides scholarships through the Missionary Emergency Fund. Our church has partnered with Gadada Theological College in various ways since 2014, helping to spread God's word in Western Ethiopia.
While we were there, one of the leaders came up to me and said, "What are you going to do for the kingdom? What mission are you going to do with your life?"
And you want to see Helen Grace looking gobsmacked? That question will do it.
I ended up thinking for a minute and came up with an answer, and everyone was, "That's a really good answer. We could tell that you took the time to think about that before you answered." But it's just kind of, what are you going to do for the kingdom? And what mission are you going to do? They're over there doing theirs. How am I going to live out mine? So just a little thought.
That's one that we all need to stop and think about, right? Okay, next slide. Will. These are scholarship students that we mentioned. LMEF supports 17 students at Gannaway Theological College, and we support several students at BESS. And we also support 7 of the ministers and synod leaders who are getting further degrees. So those are pictures of those folks there. The women's ministry in the synod is incredible. They go in, even if it's a non-member's house, if the family needs help, they're there. They're there to help, and they are amazing. Really, they have quite an outreach. The next video that we're going to show you is at worship at BESS. This is the high school. We spoke about worship each day in the chapel, and we were able to attend chapel one morning. This is a little 2-minute video, but it's just a small part of an hour-long chapel program in which we brought greetings, and then Kate did a devotional. And this is a student-led worship. So I want you to see this. Will.
The worship leader that you'll see is a student who was abandoned at birth and was adopted by a local family who is helping him get educated here. You'll see that there's green stuff on the floor. It's grass that is put down on celebratory events as a sign of welcome and celebration. And I will tell you that after being there, our worship feels very polite compared to what you're going to see.
Theirs is very, very passionate and very free. There's lots of jumping, very spontaneous, kind of just do what the Spirit moves you to do.
Sorry, back up. The Friday night worship is for the students who live on campus, and there's about 135 of those. So, yeah. Yeah.
But no, it's not required. You can go. Most students do, but you don't have to go.
On Friday. Chapel is required. Yeah. Sarah, you want to do the takeaways?
Yeah.
Next slide, please.
So some things to think about as you go home and as you think about your opportunities for mission, and the ways that you want to direct your time and your dollars, and well, your talents too, because there's abundant opportunity to go and teach, go and help, just go. So first takeaway. None of these schools would exist without the support specifically of First Presbyterian Church of Bristol and the broader Missionary Emergency Fund. They would close without our support. There are, round numbers, there are about 2,000 students every year that are being educated in this community because we are carrying out of our abundance. And think about the longevity of these programs and how those numbers of students have multiplied year over year. This is kingdom work. We don't see it, but it's getting done. The amount of US dollars that it takes to make a difference is really small. You think about how expensive it is to, build a wing of a hospital in the United States. $100 will make a difference for a family. We learned that one of the elementary schools is building housing to recruit new teachers. A duplex for 2 families of desirable housing. This is not ratty housing. This is desirable housing. 2 families, $11,000 US dollars. It's shocking to me how that makes a difference. As we talked about, the role of missionaries is very present in this community. I understand that, having not met Michael Weller, I have a deeper understanding now of what his work there did, because they spoke about him like he had gone across the street to get a cup of coffee, like he was that real to them. And he's been gone a couple of years at this point. 2019 they came home. So this is, our work there is in their faces, and they're not ignoring it. Yeah, it's very, very, very present. He saw that, this is a poor community, and they're very matter of fact. Yeah, we're poor. We know it. But they're doing what they can with what they have. And we were very struck by the deep sense of faith that the members of this community use to get through. Their security is perilous. Healthcare is crummy. Food is a little bit iffy. And there is a reliance on God that is deep.
Every little thing there is a blessing. What would go unnoticed to us is a gift from God there.
Yes. So, final question to you is, what is the mission, your mission? There's a lot of adults in here. So some of us have wrestled with this already. Some of us are guiding littles who will be asking these questions too. But what does mission look like for you and for yours? It's very exotic to go overseas to do mission work. It's less exotic to go down on State Street and do mission work there, but they are equally important for the kingdom.
Any final burning questions? Thank you all for being here. Thank you for coming. God bless you. That's a good question. I don't know, Marguerite. Yes, they remember me. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
They named a library after her.
As I say, that's paint on a wall. They can always paint over it. Tom. They do not at this time, but as I said, they're getting ready to put that back in. But there is a agriculture training center that is run by the Senate for adults. So they're doing that. Yeah.
Do a lot of their families have farms or anything, or do they have to help with?
I don't know. I really don't, Marguerite. Yeah.
They all got families and
Yeah.
work at home too.
They're, a lot of their jobs are just subsistence, day laborers, that kind of thing. Yes, Sally.
I'm not aware of what size this community is, but you mentioned public school and then these schools. Do you have any sense of the children there? Do they all go to school, public or private, or is it just a small group that's privileged?
The education system in that area, let me just address a little bit of this at a time. There's about 100,000 people that live in the Dembidolo area. It used to be about 40,000 when we started there 20 years ago, but it's grown because of the violence that's out in the countryside, so people are streaming into the city. That's why housing is an issue. That's why inflation is crazy like it is here. There's just a lot of issues. I don't think the schools can keep up. Ethiopia has a policy now that says all children must go to school, but they don't enforce it. So that's one of the issues. Public schools, we have seen a public school before on previous trips, and they are the stick walls that you saw in that lady's house, and benches to sit on, no desk, no concrete floors, it's wood, it's dirt floors, that kind of thing in the public schools. These church schools are amazing compared to the public schools. Tom? They are starting that, I think. The Senate president mentioned that he had bought a solar panel to run a a water supply system that the Senate needs. So they're going in that direction, yes. No. No. Okay. Others? Other questions? Robin?
We spent a lot of time talking about education policy and snow. And it was fascinating to me. Like, it's hot there. And we saw folks, I mean, like, men wear suit coats. There was a guy at church who was wearing a parka and a scarf. Like, and their perception of snow, we might as well have lived in Minneapolis because that was what they thought as far as winter here. But there doesn't, at least it didn't appear that there was a sense or a culture of pleasure reading. Life is work there, and you're either studying or you're working, and then your work is study. So
while the sun shines.
While the sun shines. And the couple of times that I asked folks about pleasure reading, I might have, said, would you like to, like sacrifice your second child on a day that ended in wine? I mean, it just didn't exist there. So it was really, really interesting.
We need to end, so we're going to call it unless you have a final word, okay? Thank you all for coming. It's been glorious to have you here. Thanks to Sarah and Helen Grace for a wonderful trip. And thank you for sending us and for sending the goods that we took that blessed them so much. So God bless you. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
KG wants to be. That's what he. KG.
Gannaway Theological College trains pastors, teachers, and evangelists to meet the needs of the rapidly growing Christian church in Ethiopia. Gannaway Theological College was named for the great evangelist Gannaway Solon. Blinded from a young age by severe smallpox, Gannaway memorized much of the Bible and traveled throughout Western Ethiopia teaching, preaching, and planting churches in many villages in the 1920s and later. GTC began as a short-term training center in 1960, and in 1993, a 2-year certificate program was established. But because of the increasing demand for higher-level training and the increasing competence of believers, a diploma program was established in 2012. Now, Gannaway Theological College has accomplished one of its long-term goals, being able to offer both a diploma and a 4-year degree program. Gannaway Theological College was the focus of longtime missionary Michael Weller. Our church contributed to the Weller family's support for much of his missionary life. When Michael Weller died in October of 2024, memorial funds were designated by his family to go to Gannaway Theological College. The building of the Michael Weller Memorial Hall, to be used as Gannaway's chapel, has begun. Your team was honored to participate in the placing of his memorial stone. We worshiped with the students, staff, and several guests of Gannaway Theological College, and we brought greetings from our congregation. Pictured here, you will see several of the students, including some of the female students for whom First Presbyterian Church provides scholarships through the Missionary Emergency Fund. Our church has partnered with Gannaway Theological College in various ways since 2014, helping to spread God's word in Western Ethiopia.
Jesus.